Hi and welcome back. This is episode 3 of my personal journey with multiple sclerosis. Today I'm going to be talking about my diagnosis and how that affected me. So as I previously said, my diagnosis was in May 2013 and I'd had about 6 months of testing at that point. And as most people would do, when you know there's something wrong with you, but you don't know what it is, you start looking into it yourself. And every doctor on the planet would tell you that's a bad thing to do, but there is no way of stopping yourself. You want to know what's wrong. You start looking at your symptoms. You start looking on the internet. And by the time I got my diagnosis, I was pretty confident that I had MS. I'd looked into several other conditions along my journey. I'd looked into cauda equina, which is the condition I spoke about previously that affects the nerves coming out of the base of the spine. I'd had that ruled out already. I'd looked at ALS. I was very scared that I might have ALS. And I'd looked into a condition called peripheral neuropathy. And peripheral neuropathy is horrific, and it can kill you very, very quickly or leave you in a wheelchair very, very quickly. So by the time I got my diagnosis, I knew what to expect. And I remember going into the neurologist's office with my wife, knowing exactly what he was going to say. And if anything, the neurologist was a little bit more nervous about telling me that I had MS than I was about hearing that I had MS. And I remember almost having to reassure him that, everything is okay. I'm going to be all right. Just tell me what's wrong. I know what it is. You know that I know what it is. Just say the words. So when he actually came to saying it, I actually let out a relief, a sigh of relief. I remember physically breathing out this exhalation of, thank God it's MS. And I was quite happy to be diagnosed with MS, given the fact that my mind had gone through every worst case scenario and I'd spent 6 months imagining things much more severe. So my initial reaction was one of almost euphoria. And I remember walking out quite excited and walking down the street thinking, yeah, it's MS, great. This is a very positive diagnosis. My wife, on the other hand, was devastated. She herself knew because we'd been researching it together. But as I've said to a lot of people over the years, it's much harder to watch someone else go through something, someone that you love go through something like this, than to go through it yourself. So I think my diagnosis had a much bigger impact on my wife than it did on me initially. Over the months that followed, I think when it sunk in, it started to feel a little bit worse. But my initial reaction to being diagnosed was one of relief. In later episodes, I will talk a little bit more about the feelings I got later on and the depression that led to and the anxiety that it all led to. But initially, I was fine. I was absolutely fine with my diagnosis because I was relieved that it wasn't anything worse. Thanks again for watching. If you want to know more, click like, share, subscribe. If you've got any specific questions about my diagnosis, about my treatment, about the condition in general, leave a question below. I'll endeavour to get those questions answered. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the treatments that I received and how that affected me. So see you next time, and thanks for watching.